So I'm just off to my dad's right now. He needs help filling out a form. But I was like, you know what? I may as well record a video about a topic which is, I haven't really thought about much in my life of how it's affected me. But that is foster care. I was put into foster care at the age of 7, I believe. It was either 7 or 8, I can't even exactly remember. But my parents have been divorced since I was 2 years old. So I lived with them. So it'd usually be like 3 days at my mum, 4 days at my dad's, that sort of stuff. So I'd alternate between the houses. They both live close by, so it wasn't an issue with the travelling. However, yeah, they couldn't support me financially, both being single parents. And because of my autism, I was quite a handful when I was younger. I had like quite specific needs, and they didn't really understand how to look after me. So they kind of got assessed, and it was decided upon that I had to move into foster care with like a more financially stable family that could look after me. So that happened. In total, I was in 5 foster homes before I got out the system. And when you say to someone that you're in foster care, they're always like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I feel so bad for you." But looking back on it, I think it was a blessing in disguise, because I learned a lot from being in foster care. I think if I stayed with my mum and dad, I think I probably would have gone down a bad path. I think I wouldn't have achieved as much as I have done because of the support I've received. I mean, yeah, I would have been able to see my mum and dad, but would they have been able to provide for me properly to give me the success? Probably not. First foster home I was in when I was 8 years old was in a village called Hindley near Wigan, and that was with someone called, I think it's Janice or Janet, and her husband, and they had a few kids there. That lasted about a year. All I can really remember from that foster home is that I remember getting an iPod for Christmas and playing on that. That was so fun. I loved that. That was like back in 2011, 2012. And then after that, I moved to Bolton. That foster home didn't work out. I moved to Bolton with this single woman called Lydia. She was about 40 years old. She was alright, to be honest, but she was always like quite aggressive with her teaching. But she was like still like a good. I felt like she was a good foster mum, but she always used to take us on like trips out to like theme parks and little events, and I liked that. But it just felt really isolated because obviously I was in Bolton, and I was still in primary school at this point, so primary school, elementary school. So I had to get the taxi from Bolton to Wigan, which was about 30-40 minutes. So I felt quite isolated. I couldn't really see my friends, and I couldn't. I was supposed to be moving to my high school plan was that I was going to move to. I was going to stay with Lydia from my last year of elementary school and move to a new high school in Bolton. That didn't work out. I'm not even quite sure why it didn't work out. I think it's just because as a kid I wanted to stay in Wigan, so they found me a foster home in Wigan that they moved me to. So yeah, so I went from Wigan to Bolton, back to Wigan. So now I'm back on my third foster home, and this was in Wigan. Wigan. I'm not sure what town it was. I think it was Goulburn. It was with a woman called Christine and her husband, and they had 3 kids of their own, but they were a lot older. I think one was 18 at the time, one was about 20, and the other one was about 28. So you can see they had me as a 12-year-old, and they didn't really know how to look after me because I was like a kid basically. And they'd already done the parenting with younger children, and now there are older children. So it was kind of hard for them to relate to me and treat me like an actual child. So I just spent a lot of time in my room. I remember playing a lot of Minecraft on my Xbox 360 at that foster home. At this point, I still didn't have my first phone or internet connection or anything like that. That's how rough foster care is. I didn't even have like my first phone until I was 16. So when around my 11th or 12th year of my life, my social worker, who decides like what happens in my foster care system, she decided that I was to either stay at Christine's in Wigan or to go to live with my extended family in Leicester, my aunt and uncle. And obviously seeing family for whatever reason was like a lot more appealing to me than living with a stranger's house. So I decided to do it. I decided to move to Leicester with my family, and that's when I started high school. I started high school at this place called South Charnwood, and it was a really nice school. It was in the like country. It was very out the way, and obviously my aunt worked at this school as a food technician teacher, which is like a cooking teacher basically. So that helped a lot that she worked there, because she was able to oversee me and make sure that like my transition was smooth and that I didn't get bullied or anything. So yeah, I lived with my family in Leicester for 5 years until my GCSEs ended, which I didn't even do my GCSEs because I didn't do my GCSEs because of COVID. So when I got to 16, I got my results. I got 6s and 7s, but they were like projected grades. They weren't actually the real grades that I got in my tests, because I didn't do the tests. So when I was 16, things weren't quite working out in Leicester as I wanted it to. I was still very much treated like a child in Leicester, even when I was 16. I did get my first phone, but when I got my first phone, things took a massive downhill turn, because I found this Discord community on TikTok, and it was full of like basically incels and like band kids, and it was absolutely terrible for my mental health, because I started lots of drama, and I was pretty much a recluse. I just sit on Discord all day and just like joke around and create drama, and then have to deal with the drama I created. And I became a very weird, chronically online person, and that reflected like over summer in lockdown, because I was just horrible, to be honest, to my family. And I think they kind of just got sick of me and decided to, it's kind of like a mutual agreement for me to move back into foster care, because I was still in foster care under my aunt and uncle. They started to follow the regulations of the system, but it wasn't obviously with strangers, so it didn't really feel like foster care. So when I was 16, I moved back to Wigan to go into foster care again with a new family that I didn't know, and this family, this was called Deb and Chris, my most recent and last foster family. And this is where things really changed for me, because this is where I gained a lot of my independence, because they actually started to treat me like I was 16 now, like I was an actual adult. Let me stay up a lot longer, go on my phone for longer. This is when I started college, not college as in American college, but in the UK we have a thing called college, which is basically for Americans the 2 last years of high school. So we did that. I went there, and this is when I had to start getting the bus by myself. I didn't get dropped off anymore. I used to get dropped off at school all my life, so I had to start getting the bus, be more independent. had to start making new friends in a new region that I hadn't been in a while, because obviously I grew up in the Midlands in Leicester. I didn't grow up in the north during high school, so it was a lot different talking to people, the accents, how people communicated. So during college I didn't really make many friends. I couldn't relate. I was still a bit of a weirdo. I was still trying to get out of that phase, develop my own identity and that. But all in all, I think foster care really helped me, because, like I said, I didn't really get like unrestricted internet access until I was about 16, and that really helped me, because now I'm really not as addicted to my phone as I see my other friends are, because I've just never had that young influence as a child. Obviously, like, I could still play video games offline, and video games were a main source of escape really for me. But the internet wasn't there, so it wasn't like I'd get lost in anything or stumble across anything that could really change my mind or scar me. Obviously, I kind of scarred myself by finding that Discord community back in 2020 lockdown, but yeah, that was a fucking rough period of my life, man. That was so bad, but I've still got all my online friends from then, from that community. We've all changed and it's actually grown for the better. I think I'm planning on seeing one over summer, because he lives in the Netherlands, so I was thinking of getting a plane over and doing some solo travelling. But I think, yeah, foster care, if I think if I lived with my mum and dad, who were on like a very low paycheck, because they were both unemployed and they're on like government money. So if I stayed with them, I think I would have turned out to be a lot worse. I think I would have turned out to be like the average, average Wiganer. Wiganer is just like a slang term just for like someone who lives in Wigan. But I think I would have turned out to be like that, like kind of like uneducated and like no aspiration, kind of just kind of like a standard guy, you know. Because I don't really have the support to teach me anything. So yeah, I think it was good. When I was in foster care, I barely saw my own family, to be honest. Apart from when I was obviously living with my extended family in Leicester, I only saw my mum and dad, I think 6 times a year each. So I'd see my mum 6 times a year, and then I'd see my dad 6 times a year, usually on the same day. So yeah, contact was very limited, because with foster care, it's not like adoption where you just can't see them. You can see them, but it's very limited, because obviously they want you to not get attached to your mum and dad, just in case, I don't know, they leave or something like that, or you know what I mean. So yeah, I don't really see them quite often, and that was quite tough. That was the one part of foster care that I didn't like. I really wish I could have seen them more when I was growing up, because nowadays it's hard for me to feel quite emotional towards my mum and dad, because I was never quite close to them, and during my teenage years I couldn't really express how I felt to them or how much they meant to me, because I just never saw them, and I couldn't text them either or phone them. Obviously, I didn't get my phone until 16. I was able to use the home phone to ring my mum as a teenager, but I couldn't use the phone to ring my dad for whatever reason. So yeah, I literally only saw them 12 hours a year, and think how crazy that is, 12 hours a year, because it was 2-hour sessions, right? I think, yeah, it's either 2, 3 or 4 hour sessions, I can't remember, but still, at the most 24 hours a year I'd see them broke up into little sections, and like, you gotta realise how mental that is as a kid, like only seeing them for that little time. I mean, the times we had were good. I remember going fishing with my dad and playing games with my mum. But it was all supervised until it's literally always supervised. I would always have family or foster carers like watching over me when I saw them, and that was really annoying because I couldn't really talk to them properly. It was tough, but I finally got out of foster care when I was 18, and that's when I decided to start living with my grandma in Wigan. So after the foster care family in Wigan, I decided to move with my grandma in Wigan. She lives by herself and she had an open room, so she was like, oh, you can stay here now you're not in foster care. And then when I moved to there, that's when things properly changed for me, because this was when I was fully independent. I didn't have any supervision at all. I could see my mum and dad whenever I wanted. I could really focus on my life for the first time in ages without being controlled on what I could do. So I made a lot of progress. I started going to the gym consistently, started eating properly because I wasn't getting fed meals anymore. I was starting to create my own meals, start cooking for myself. And yeah, foster care had its limitations, but ultimately I believe that those limitations actually helped me in the long run, because I'm no longer like obsessive over my phone. I can control my addictions quite well. I never really get addicted to anything anymore because I was so restricted as a child that it's just kind of like normal for me now to just like not care about addictions as much, or stuff like screen time. My screen time is very low now. It's about 2 hours on average, and that's probably down to foster care too. And I'm still very creative, and I still have a lot of interests and unique things about me which I don't think would have been present if I didn't go into the foster care system, because being only allowed to like play with like toys and go outside like a normal child instead of go on my phone or play video games gave me the chance to actually be a normal child. Like, it's crazy how many children used to play out when I was young. When I was 10, 11, 12, there'd always be kids on the street because phones and social media, TikTok wasn't a thing then. So like the most social media you'd really get that back in those times were like watching funny YouTube memes with your friends or little Vine compilations. And that was the most. Or you'd sometimes play a bit of Minecraft on the Xbox 360 if it was too cold outside. But yeah, between the ages of about 9 to 14, I was always outside playing with toys or using my imagination. And that really positively impacted me to the person I am today, because people call me like, I don't know, some people call me weird for the interests I have, or that I'm not like properly normal. I don't conform to like the standards of like the average British teenager, or because I don't go on raves or festivals or go out as much anymore, or I have weird interests like I like Pokemon or sometimes play a bit of Minecraft. But it's just who I am, and obviously it's not crazy that I like these things. I mean, they're pretty universal interests, but I do feel quite different because of the foster care system. So yeah, I just really wanted to go over like how I think the foster care system positively and negatively impacted my life. I think the next video I'm going to make is going to be about Domino's, because I think I've got a shift later today and I wanted to record like a day in the life of a Domino's driver. I don't really see a lot of those videos because I tried looking for them before I started my job. I was like, what is it actually like to be a Domino's driver before I sign up? And there was one guy doing the consistent videos called Zach Jones, and I want to kind of create a video like that. So I think I'm going to publish that tomorrow. I'm going to record the footage tonight and then edit it Sunday. So hopefully that'll be out tomorrow and it'll be well edited and chopped together. This was just kind of like a filler video because I want to keep the consistent daily uploads, no matter the quality of the content. I'm going to get better at speaking gradually as I go on, but obviously I don't think many people are going to listen to these. It's just kind of a way to build up my portfolio and increase my talking skills, and it's just something to do while I'm driving. So that's it for now. Cheers.